Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be talking about my whole birth labor story with our daughter Isabella. So first I'll kind of give you guys a quick rundown on my pregnancy. It was a great pregnancy, no complications. Thank goodness everything went, as expected. Starting 38 weeks is when my OBGYN would do checks to see how dilated you were. 38 weeks I went in and, they checked me. I wasn't dilated at all, and so I was kind of disappointed. I remember I was just like, oh, why am I not dilated? I remember I was crying, and it was just very hormonal. Basically, the OBGYN said, go on a date with your husband, enjoy this time, relax, and things will happen as they should. I was kind of frustrated because that whole couple weeks prior I was feeling like a lot of pressure down there, a lot of discomfort, and I was like, oh, I must be dilating. Whenever I had that 38-week checkup and I wasn't dilated, I was pretty disappointed. My weeks turned over on Wednesdays. At 39 weeks I went in for my appointment and I was checked, and I was actually 2 centimeters and 75% effaced. It was actually kind of funny because the week prior, so 37 weeks, I felt like I was more uncomfortable than 38 to 39 weeks. So I was actually very surprised that I was dilated. I'm actually a hairstylist, so my last day of work was going to be August 1st. My due date with Isabella was August 7th, so I figured it would give me some time to just kind of, prepare, relax at home. So after my 39-week appointment, I had thought that possibly my water was leaking. I just kept an eye on things, nothing progressed, so I figured, I must be just going crazy. So that Thursday was August 1st, and I had my last day of work. I only had a couple clients that day. I felt really great, and I remember, on my way home from work, just thinking to myself, I feel really, really great right now. I feel like I could go, run a marathon. Not really, but, I was just feeling really, really good. As soon as I got home, TMI alert, I had this gush of fluid, and I went to the bathroom and there was some fluid there. So I remember googling some things, and basically it said if it is your water, it will kind of keep coming. Try laying down and then getting up, and sometimes there'll be another gush. Again, TMI, all of this is, but when you're talking about labor and birth, everything is TMI. So after having that fluid, I kind of kept an eye on things. So on a side note, I had been very nervous that my water would break in bed if my water did break, and I didn't want to ruin our mattress. I told my husband, I said, I want to go to Walmart, I want to pick up a waterproof mattress pad, and I want to get a yoga ball, because now that I'm done with work, I want to, get this thing going, and I want to have this baby. So he was like, all right, let's go. And I was like, you know what, if this is my water leaking, get up and get moving around, and maybe it'll kind of progress things. We went to Walmart and we got our waterproof mattress pad and we got our yoga ball. When we got home from Walmart, I remember feeling just really frustrated because nothing else had happened. I wasn't getting contractions, nothing was progressing. Not to mention, it was August. It was very, very hot. I was just very uncomfortable. You can imagine, I'm 39 weeks pregnant, you're just swollen and uncomfortable. My husband took care of the mattress pad. He blew up my yoga ball. I took a shower, and I remember coming downstairs. I had the yoga ball, I was bouncing on it, and I was just so irritated and mad, and I ended up laying on the couch and falling asleep. Ended up waking up probably around 2:30 or 3 o'clock. And I remember going upstairs to the restroom, whatever, went into bed, and I was laying there, and all of a sudden I kind of felt like a gush of something. I rushed to the bathroom. I was like, okay, something is up. So I decided to call the on-call doctor. They said you should hear back within about a half hour. If not, call back. Within that time frame, I was like, you know what, Nick? I think we should start getting things ready, and I think we should just head to the hospital to get checked out. He was like, cool, sure. I never got a call back from the doctor. I was just grabbing a couple extra things. We had our bags packed, but I wanted to just grab a couple things. And when I actually decided to bring along my makeup, because I was like, well, maybe I'll want to do my makeup when I'm at the hospital. That did not happen, but I was grabbing my makeup to put it in my suitcase, and my water actually broke. It was a mess. It was just like in the movies. I know it's not the case for everybody, and you know, not everyone's water breaks, but it was just like in the movies. And I ran into the bathroom, and I actually got into the bathtub, cleaned up. I wore an adult diaper to the hospital, no shame, and I actually wore a towel around me. I sat on like 2 towels in the car, and I had a towel wrapped around me. I had a dress on, but it was pulled up because I was like, I'm not gonna get fluid on this dress. So my husband was like, Mia, you're gonna go into the hospital wrapped in a towel? And I'm like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Once we got into the car, I started getting contractions, and they started coming. They started coming pretty quickly. So I walk into the hospital, towel wrapped around me, and you know, I have to give all my information, and that took a while. So when we got to the hospital, I actually finally got a call back from the doctor when I was in the hospital. They were actually crazy at the hospital. The night before, they had had something like 12 births, so they were very, very busy. So you know, once they got all our info, they checked us in, they confirmed that my water had actually broken, which, you know, obviously it did. So they checked me, and I was 3 centimeters dilated. The nurse, she was awesome. She was like, you know, it's going to be a little bit before we can get you upstairs into a labor room. I was just kind of laboring there for a while. Basically, for like a time frame standpoint, my water broke at 3:30 in the morning, and we got to the hospital probably 15 minutes later. Honestly, we live very close. So by the time, you know, I got checked and, you know, they brought me upstairs, it was maybe something like 6:30 in the morning, and they checked me again. I was 6 centimeters dilated. So at this point, I mean, I was in a ton of pain, and I kept saying, you know, I just want an epidural, I want an epidural. They actually gave me the nitrous oxide with the mask. You breathe in and out, and I did not feel like it helped at all. I felt like very claustrophobic because you have to keep the mask on and breathe in and out, and you can't really bring it away, and it was just honestly annoying me more than anything else. It didn't help with the pain at all. Finally, the anesthesiologist came in to, you know, give me the epidural, and he was like, oh, actually, we don't have up-to-date blood work for you. The last time you got blood work was in January. So he's like, we actually need to run blood work on you before we can give you your epidural. And I'm like, oh my gosh, at this point, I am, just so that you know what kind of person I am a germ freak. I am the type of person, if I have to go into the hospital, I will stand, I will not sit, I will hold my purse, I just won't put anything down, I won't touch anything. Well, you know, when I was in labor, I was in so much pain, I could not sit still. I was on the floor, I was on the bathroom floor, I was just screaming. I was screaming bloody murder. It was very intense. I was in a great amount of pain. You know, I mean, you're giving birth. Whenever the anesthesiologist came in and said that he now needed blood work and I was going to have to wait an additional half hour, 40 minutes, I was like, oh my God, no. I just labored through. He came back in, you know, they did my blood work, and he came back in when everything was all settled, and he administered my epidural, and I was in such pain with the contractions that I was actually bearing down, and the nurse, she was holding me while I got the epidural, and she was like, are you pushing? And I was like, I think I am. It was very, very intense, and as soon as the epidural went in, I was under the impression that, you know, I was gonna like pretty much instantly feel better, and that wasn't the case for me. It took a long time. It took at least about a half hour until I started kind of feeling a little bit better. Right after they administered the epidural, my doctor came in, she checked me, and she was like, you were 10 centimeters, you're ready to push. Basically, I got an epidural at 10 centimeters. At this time, it had to have been about 8 o'clock in the morning. I pushed for about 45 minutes, and our daughter was born. So I had been group B strep positive. So with that, you need to be administered a certain amount of antibiotics while you're in labor for a certain amount of time. If you're not able to get the antibiotics while you're in labor, there's certain health risks for your baby. Basically, because I had labored so quickly, I wasn't able to get the full dosage of antibiotics that I needed. So when Isabella was born, she did have a slightly elevated temperature. So they had said that they wanted to keep us for 48 hours just to be safe, just to monitor us both and make sure we were both okay, which I was completely fine with. I was like, honestly, keep me as long as you want. So as far as me because I labored so quickly, and the nurses say because I'm a redhead naturally, I bled a lot. Sorry if this is a slightly different angle, my camera stopped. I bled a lot. I bled as much as a C-section. I lost probably about double the blood that you're supposed to, and they did have some trouble stopping the bleeding. Eventually they did, and all was okay, but it was a scary probably like half hour or so, especially for my husband, because he had said, you know, the amount of blood that you lost and kind of what was going on down there was very, very scary to watch. Thank God though everything was okay with that. A lot of people ask, and I know I always wondered kind of like what happens down there after you have a baby. I tore a little bit. I probably had like a 1st-degree tear, so I was very, very lucky. I did get some stitches. For me, my entire birth experience, I just can't say enough. The human body is amazing. What we're meant to do as women, it just is absolutely amazing. Because I labored so quickly, they were only able to administer the initial epidural. They didn't have time to give me a pump or catheter or anything like that, and I do feel like that made my recovery time much quicker. I was out of bed, using the restroom, hour and a half after I gave birth to her. Overall, I just felt amazing. So very, very, very lucky. One scary thing that did happen, I'll skip kind of ahead. This was, I think I was 8 days postpartum, and we were just home, you know, of course, and I used the restroom, and I passed a very, very large blood clot. And one thing they do tell you when you leave the hospital is to watch for large blood clots about the size of a golf ball or an egg, you know, anything like that. You definitely want to notify your doctor. That could mean that you're hemorrhaging, could mean that placenta was still left behind. That was a bit scary. I did check with my doctor, and they did say that, you know, all was okay with that. I just needed to rest and drink plenty of fluids, and you know, I didn't have any problems after that, thank God. So that was my crazy birth experience. I hear Isabella waking up, so I'm gonna go grab her, but it was insane. For a first-time mom, it was 5.5 hours from the minute my water broke to I delivered her. So 3:30 a.m. my water broke, and 8:57 I delivered Isabella on August 2nd, 2019. That's my birth experience. I would love to hear your guys' birth experience. Leave a comment below. If you have any questions, leave comments below, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. So, alright everybody, so I want to introduce you to my little girl, Isabella. Here she is. You say hi. Say hi to the camera. Say hi to the camera. Can you say hi? Can you say bye-bye to everybody? Bye-bye, everybody.